Okay, so now that we have the public display of classes, I want to get into the registration and login. All right, basically this will go to a sign up link. So let's see, it's going to be user/sign up. But before we do any of that, we need to create a user model. So let me just delete all these or close these out. All right, and I'm going to go to models and I'm going to create a new file. Let's save this as user.js. Your models should always be singular. And we need to add the routes as well. We have a users.js routes. For views, let's create a new folder and we'll call that users. All right, and in users, let's create a new file and save it as signup.handlebars. All right, so let's see the users model. Basically, it's going to be pretty similar to the class model in terms of the schema and all that. So let's just copy that and give us something to work from. All right, so this is going to be the user schema. Now let me try to explain what I'm going to do here. The user object model schema has to do with the site, registering, logging in, things like that. We're also going to have a student object and an instructor object separately from the user, and that's going to handle mostly the classes. Okay, so we need a way to save the classes that the user's taking as well as the classes that the instructor is teaching. All right, so what I'm going to do is we'll have the basic registration fields in user, which is username, email, password, and then in the students table and the instructors and the instructors, we will have things like the address, their address. We'll have in the classes will be an array, much like this, like lessons. All right, so let's go ahead and do this user schema first. All right, so let's do username, and that'll be a string. Okay, we'll do email, and let's see, pass. Let me just get rid of this. Oh, yeah, we want to get rid of instructor. That should be password. And actually, I think that's really it for the user schema. Yeah, so that's it. Down here, we want to create a user object. Okay, so we'll change this to user and change this to user schema. All right, let's see. As far as this, I'm going to start with a couple simple methods here. I want to be able to get the student by the ID. I'm sorry, not student. Get user by ID. And we'll have user.find. And we want to change this. We want an ID and a callback. Okay, and we'll have user.findById, and that's going to take in the ID and a callback, and we can get rid of this. All right, I also want get user by username. All right, and that's going to take in a username and a callback. Okay, and then here we're going to do first the query. So we're going to say variable query is equal to an object with a username. All right, and then here we can just use the find method. We'll say find, actually we'll use find one. All right, and we're going to pass in the query and callback. All right, so that's good for now. So let's create the registration. We need to do the route first. So go to the user's route, and we want /sign up. And what we're going to do here is just render. Let's say render users /sign up. All right, and now we'll go to the view. And now we're going to have a form. You can see that we have a bunch of different fields here, more than we have in the user model. And basically, we're going to put these fields in another table. Basically, if they choose, this is a select list, if they choose student, then the info will go in the students collection. If instructor, then it'll go in the instructors. All right, and that's also, this option itself will also go in. All right, so actually what we need to do is, for the user model, I'm going to add in another field here and call it type. And basically that's going to be either a student or an instructor. All right, so we'll save that. And let's save the form. Okay, so now if we go and restart the server, we should be able to at least see the form. All right, so you can see that student is picked by default, and they can also register as an instructor. Obviously, this is not a good idea for a production application. You don't want just anybody to sign up as an instructor. So, you know, it's just for learning purposes, really. It's not something that you'd actually do. I don't think so. But what I want to do is fix this form up real quick. If I go to the CSS file, which is public style CSS, let's go down to the bottom here, and we'll just say form label. I want to display inline block, and I'll set width to 180 pixels. That should fix up the form a little bit. Alright, before we go and handle the post request to sign the user up, we need to create a couple more models. Alright, so in the models folder, let's create a file and save it as student.js. And we're going to create another file, and you want to save that as instructor.js. Alright, so in the student.js, basically we're just going to put all the fields, the whole schema. So we can actually copy the user just to start us out. Okay, so we're going to obviously change all the user to student. Alright, so we can get rid of password and type. Okay, we can get rid of these methods at the bottom, and we want to change this to student, as well as this and the schema. Actually, no, I'm sorry, this should be a lowercase s, and it should be with the U too in user. Alright, now we have a few more fields to add here, so I'm going to copy this. Alright, so we're going to have a first name, a last name, we're going to have an address. Alright, and the address is going to be an array. Okay, and we'll put this object in here. And we'll have street address. And that's going to have a type of string. Okay, so we'll have a city and a state and a zip. Okay, email username. I think this is it really, so I can get rid of this. Yeah, first name, last name, address, username, and email. So we'll go ahead and actually let's get rid of this comma right here. Okay, so we can save this, and now I'm going to copy all this into the instructor.js and just change this around. Instructor schema. Oh, you know what we didn't do is the classes. Let me just finish this. Alright, so classes, we're going to have that for both student and instructors. So down at the bottom here, let's do another comma, and we'll have classes.